Are you looking for a pattern to use up the panels in your fabric stash? How about our next quilt of the month?
Hi, it's Fran Morgan.
And Donna Robertson with Fabric Café.
You've told us all about the panels you have in your fabric stashes, and we want to help you use them.
So we decided the best way was to make our February quilt of the month a pattern that works with panels.
Let's go check it out. Now, this is the Gatsby quilt, and I'm so excited about this quilt because it's so many things about it that make it wonderful. First, it can accommodate a panel block, which is awesome, and I love that. Here we have it with our little ocean creatures, which is just so cool. But you know what? This block can also just take regular fabric. So if you have a beautiful print that you want to showcase, it's going to go right here. And this is cut independently, so it can take a directional fabric. So this is fabulous. Now, the alternate block, so simple. We have a little piece here that's just a strip sewn onto the side of a square. We've got a strip assembly, then we sew on a side strip and another side strip. Goes quick, and think about it, it would take a stripe, which is just so super cool in this position. We have some great fabrics. Let's get this on the table and talk about it. Okay, we are gonna do some pieces and parts so we can show you how easy the Gatsby quilt is to put together. So the first block and the primary block here is our panel block. It's just cut as a square, and we actually have a video that shows you all the tips on how to cut a panel block. So be sure and check that out. So it's just a square, and if you're using yardage, you can use directional fabric because you can turn it any way you want to turn it. Our secondary block is this block right here. We are going to start with a strip assembly. And you know this is very simple. We just take two long strips and we're going to sew them together on their long edges, and then we are going to cut off a little unit from that. And you know, we always like to say it's like cutting pieces of pie because you're just cut, and then you have all these little servings. It's so cute.
You can tell that we like sewing and eating
And food.
Fabric Cafe.
Okay, so that is step one. So we have that there. So let's see our next step. Thank you, Mom. So it's just like this. Our next step is to cut another long strip. And we are going to sew it on the side of our unit, just like so. And after we sew it on here, we're gonna cut this off and cut it even. And so the next step is to cut another strip out of your fabric number 3, and we're gonna sew it on this side. And once again, we're gonna cut it even here and here. We're gonna take another strip, and we're gonna sew it right here. And we're gonna cut it even. So that basically is the middle section here of this block. Now we're going to continue this process, sewing strips on each side. Then this one goes here like so, and then you're going to get another strip and sew it on this side like so. And you can see how it's on the outside there. And then you can see that this is basically what we end up with. It's very cool, very simple. It's going to go so fast.
It is. It's one of my favorite blocks.
I think so too, because also it's very versatile because you're turning them different directions and it creates different looks, and I think it's so neat.
And it does that balance of the 3 different fabrics. So you've got 2 of them in here and you've got it kind of spread out. And that's what makes the piecing
really
so
great.
interesting.
Yeah, it's really, really great. Okay, so let's look at this fabric kit because it's gorgeous. I know you've been looking at this fabric while I've been showing you and drooling, I'm sure, because this is a piece of art. So our number 1 fabric is our panel with all of the fabulous sea creatures and shells on it, and it looks like they're watercolored. And if you'll notice on the screen, you can see a full image of the 1 yard and all the different panels that you're going to receive in the kit. Love this panel. And as you can see, it's on our quilt here in all those blocks. And then our number 2 is this gorgeous,
It's almost watery looking.
turquoise, blue, green. It is. It's very kind of watery looking. Has just a faint impression of a leaf on it. And of course, this is going to go everywhere here. Is it a leaf, a little vine, or something? It's
Well, I would say that if you were snorkeling, it would be the seafloor plants that you would see.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's like you're underwater. It's so cool.
That's one of the reasons I love to snorkel. It's just so interesting down there.
And this, you don't even need any equipment for this.
Or hold your breath.
Yeah. So our number 3 fabric, gorgeous. It's got the sea creatures on it again on this really dark navy. And as you can see, it's in our alternate block here and on our border. And it really adds a nice contrast. It's not a white background, which I love sometimes that we get to do that.
Well, you have your white behind the actual art, so it just makes it perfect.
It really helps it shine. All right, so let me get you the kit information on this. It is called Atlantis, and it is our Gatsby pattern, which is our February quilt of the month.
You know, one of the reasons people like the panels so much is because it just looks like it's going to be so easy, and you cut out your blocks. You just make sure you leave your seam allowance on there so that you can sew them together. But what if you want to use running
Yardage.
Yardage, yeah. And it's really not a hard thing to do. Rather than cutting each individual block, I'll show you how you're going to cut your main fabric. So the instructions will tell you to cut a strip of fabric, like so. And then to make the block, it's super simple. You just cut this off of the side. And then you've got the block that is going to go right here in your quilt.
How simple is that?
It's super simple. You're just making a block. You can use your running yardage if you want, and then you're going to make your secondary block exactly the same way that Fran showed you. You're just going to be able to use running yardage if you don't have a panel that you want, or if you've got a showy fabric like this. Isn't this gorgeous?
This fabric is gorgeous. And I love 2 things about this. It's a really nice size print, so it's going to fit really well in this block, and it's directional.
That's very nice.
And it works very well in this pattern.
Yeah, that is a real plus. You can use directional or tossed fabric whenever you're making this quilt. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So this is going to be our number 1 fabric. It will go in each one of the blocks that you're seeing the panel images in at this point. And then you have your fabric number 2, which now notice that we used a darker number 1, and it's going to be in this spot. So you want that contrast. So we have this great mottled white, and it has little dragonflies. I like that. Yeah. And so that is going to be everywhere you see the blue in this one. And that is because we really do need that contrast to see the interest in this block and keep your eyes moving around on the surface of the
And
quilt.
I think it's cool that you pointed this out, that on this particular one, it's a white background, so we went darker on our number 2, but on this one, we have a dark fabric one, and we went lighter, so we keep that contrast.
Yeah.
I think that's so important, and we forget to say that sometimes.
Well, we're always saying that any 3 yards will work with
Yes.
any quilt, but you do want to keep in mind your contrast. So when you're looking at your picture, just realize if it's showing a picture of a quilt with white as the number 2, it's because we've used a dark number 1 and a dark number 3. So that's very important. So I love the fact that you can switch that around in showing your different fabrics.
Yeah.
And then we have this gorgeous red. Oh, that is just awesome. And that is going to go everywhere that you see the darker color in the pattern.
And it kind of mimics these geraniums
It
here.
does.
So
That's
cute.
so awesome.
Oh, I love it.
I love geraniums, and I love the flowers that have bunches of little bitty flowers.
Like hydrangeas. And
Yeah, yeah. But let's look at an image of this quilt because it is stunning. It is one of those, one of those that you look at and you go, oh my. And it does. It has a little different look to it with that white is the background of the number 2. It just works so well with those darker color number 1
It is striking.
fabric. It is
really,
striking.
really
I like that a lot. We'll get you the information on this particular quilt. It's the Dragonfly Tango, and we're using the Quilt of the Month Gatsby.
So we have another panel for you, and it's gorgeous. And I have to say, we're still quilters, and we still love fabric. And every once in a while, fabrics come into our shop, and you see them, and you're like, I need that.
Absolutely. I mean, they just really do have that calling to me whenever I
Yes.
see one that I really love.
And this is one of those for me because I love these panel blocks. I think they are gorgeous. I love the colors. I love how rich they are, and I don't know, it just has this neat feel that just speaks to me. And the repeat on this particular fabric, it has 8 different panels on it. Now you're gonna receive a yard of this fabric, so 4 of the panels will be repeated. But that's okay because the Gatsby pattern is a nice size pattern in which you can place them where you want them and you don't have to put them side by side. So that way you can do it. So just keep in mind that you will have enough panels in 1 yard of this fabric, just with a little bit of repeat. Now we've paired it with a number 2 that is gorgeous. It has that same feel as our number 1 fabric. It's a very light jade green with some leaves and a little bit of crackle on it. And it is going to go everywhere this dark turquoise is here. And then for our number 3, what fun, purple. I love this.
That is
And
gorgeous.
it's a neat kind of a mottledy. It's got some blue in it and the purple and some darker purple. It looks gorgeous, gorgeous with our panel fabric. And that is going to go everywhere you see the dark blue here. Now, I'm going to quit talking because I'm anxious to show you this so you can see it. This quilt image is breathtaking. I love this. Like I said, it really speaks to me. This is
Yeah.
gorgeous.
And I love the fact that there are so many different colors in it, but all of them coordinate with those other 2, with your secondary and your
It
third
does.
fabric.
It works. And probably you've noticed here that in the quilt, we've duplicated some of the blocks and it works. It looks so good.
Well, we're just oohing and eyeing over this quilt, but we want to make sure that you stay until the end today because we're going to show you some of the other great photos that you have sent in to us with previous quilts of the month.
Oh, I love
those. Oh, I know. It's so much fun. We can hardly wait to show you those as well.
All right, let's get you the kit information on this wonderful quilt kit. It is called Peaceful Garden. Once again, it's the Gatsby pattern.
Now, we did show earlier, we showed a running yardage that was a directional fabric. Well, this is a tossed fabric. So if you're doing stash busting, you don't have to worry too much about this pattern. Don't you love the fact that Fabric Café makes the pattern so versatile that you could use just about any fabric? That goes back to our little thing of you can use any fabric in any quilt.
You stick to the strategy and it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, so we really try to build in those wonderful techniques that will help you to utilize what you are looking for in a quilt. So our number 1 fabric is going to go in each one of the focal points on the quilt. I think this is just going to be fabulous, and you don't have to get a headache wondering which way to turn the blocks or use your seam ripper because it'll work every way. And then our number 2 fabric is going to be everywhere you see the blue. Now this is a nice creamy background on the floral. It's also a nice creamy color here with just some little leaves that mimic what is in the focus fabric. And I think that's very, very sweet. And I'm just a little bit of a peach girl. I love peachy colors. I love peaches.
It's our Southern heritage.
That must be, yeah. But this is great. It mimics the number 2 fabric, only it is in a darker shade. So that will be everywhere that you see this. And so it's just the perfect combination to make this particular quilt a real showstopper. Isn't that gorgeous?
Yes.
Now, we've been showing a great deal of contrast between focus fabric and your number 2, and we've used lights and we've used darks. Well, the interesting thing about this is because the florals are very interesting to look at, but they have that light background.
Yeah, and it works perfect in this Gatsby pattern. I think it really helps the background design to kind of pop forward just with those touches of flowers on it. I think it really, really worked. We want to tell you about our special deal for our Quilt of the Month. We are offering a 10% off coupon for the downloadable pattern of Gatsby. Now there is a coupon code on the screen, so be sure and pause and jot that down. It runs today through the end of February.
And the kit information on this particular quilt is the Autumn Bouquet, and it is the Gatsby pattern Quilt of the Month.
This is such a cool fabric too because it's a very structured fabric with these squares and everything, but the coloring on it almost looks watercolor. So it's kind of an interesting kind of contrast within the fabric itself.
And it almost looks like a batik.
It kind
in the
does,
background.
a little bit.
Yeah, but
It's gorgeous.
It's gorgeous.
It is gorgeous. It is really, really pretty, and the colors in it are very striking.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is our focus fabric, and it's going to go in our big block here, so it's going to really show it off, which is very cool. Then our number 2 is this kind of a mottled texture. It's a little bit of a putty color. Is that
Yeah,
how you
that
would
would
say
that would be
it?
what I would call it, a putty color.
It's very pretty.
Taupey.
Taupey. That's
Taupey.
it. Taupey, yes. Okay, and that's going to go everywhere the jade is on this quilt. And then our number 3 is this great turquoise, which picks up all the turquoise blue in our focus fabric. And it is going to go everywhere you see the dark blue here and on the border. I love the way this
Very
goes together.
nice.
Oh, I think it's cool. I love the way the focus fabric has more of a diagonal direction, but then the background with the squares, it just kind of all comes together. It's almost like you're repeating the pattern on the focus fabric.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
There's so much movement in this
it's very
fabric,
cool.
in this pattern.
Yeah.
It is great.
All right, let's get you the kit information on this. It is called Crystal Maze, and it's our Gatsby pattern.
When I saw this fabric, all kinds of things went floating through my hair, like, like the horses with striped pajamas.
Oh,
you remember
yeah.
that? And these are so precious. These zebras are just, they're awesome. They're such an interesting animal.
I like how graphic and contrasty it is within the fabric itself. I think it's very cool, and I love all the little touches with the flowers.
Yes, well, this one has flowers, like a little headband of flowers or a hat or something. It is absolutely precious. Love it, love it, love it. And it's going to be so cute in the quilt. We're going to use this in our number 1 spot. So that will be our focus fabric, and we're going to just really showcase that with the other 2 fabrics. So this one is the number 2 fabric, and here's another kind of a gray taupey kind of a color. It's going to be perfect for that background in each of the areas where you see the blue. And then we have this. Now this is really interesting because it has a little bit of a look of a stripe. But look how great it picks up the pinks and the yellows. It's just perfect.
It is perfect.
And so it'll act a little bit like a stripe or even a check.
Oh, it does.
Yeah, but it's going to be so cool because it's going to go in each one of these areas and on the border. It's going to frame it out, just make it look awesome. But let us show you that in the image. Isn't that fun?
It kind of looks like a plaid. It's
Well, and it looks
cool.
like it does look like a plaid too.
I love this, and I love the texture that it gives, because really sometimes we get contrast with texture and not just color. And even though there's plenty of contrasting color in this, I think the texture contrast is great.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
It really does add a lot of interest to it.
And it kind of makes me think, I wonder what Gatsby would look like with a stripe in the number 3 fabric.
I bet it would
Wouldn't
look
that be
awesome.
great.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think it would be awesome. It would really pull everything into the design of the
And
quilt.
it kind of makes me think of this. This is what this made me think of is perfect.
Yes. So this one is Zebra Daze, D-A-Z-E. That's so cute. And it is the Gatsby pattern.
Now, Mom, like we mentioned earlier, we've got some amazing photos of your quilts from our previous Quilt of the Month challenges. And first, we've got some from our December Quilt of the Month, which was Merry and Bright. Now, Mimi sent in this fun Christmas quilt, and it's amazing, Mimi, and you used directional fabric, which I think really took some thought, but you did a great job. All the little trees in there all go in the right direction, and they're on the border, and I love the green and white and black for Christmas. I think it's really neat. So really a good job, Mimi. Way to go.
Well, this one is from Julia. And Julia used sunflowers, and they're so sweet. Look at that. And I love the combination of the pink with the green and the gold. It's really cool.
I love that she used the pink for her number 2. I think that's just so clever.
Yeah.
Very good.
And each one of these quilts are just emphasizing how important it is to recognize that the quilts turn out great no matter what your fabric.
They're amazing. Good job, Julia.
And they're so personalized.
Yeah. All right, and now Anita sent in this Merry and Bright, and it's done with traditional Christmas fabrics. It is so fun. Once again, we have a red and black and white, And I think it kind of has a little modern twist. I think it's a neat combination. And I would love this for Christmas.
Oh, absolutely.
This is festive and fun and just gorgeous. Great job, Anita.
Now, Margie added 2 extra rows and columns, and so it's more of a twin size quilt. And she also added corner blocks, which is a nice little extra touch. And sometimes, a little tip, I'm sure this is something that Margie knows as well, is if you start running kind of low on the fabric you've picked out for your borders, add those corner blocks because they extend it by several inches. So
very smart. It's gorgeous, Margie.
It is great. So we appreciate that. A great modern looking quilt.
Yes. Now, we also have some amazing photos from our January quilt of the month, which was Arcade. Now, our first one, very cool. Janet sent this in. She used a really fun purple and black snowflakes. It has a little geometric twist to it, and I really love how she's put this together. And what a great backdrop. It's perfect for the quilt.
I was going to say, and look at the snow behind the quilt.
It's a snowy quilt and a snowy backdrop. A gorgeous job, Janet. Very nice.
Now, Jeannie sent in this great beauty. It's soothing. It has beautiful colors. And, you know, I really like the teal color that she used to outline those blocks in her number 3. It just adds so much to it. It just kind of makes it a standout quilt. And she said the pattern was just what she needed to get over her sewing slump. Well, that's great because we think this is gorgeous and we can understand that the world is going to be a better place because you got over that little sewing hump.
I love it. All right, now Andrea sent in this Arcade. Now she used more than 3 fabrics. And I love it when you guys take some creative license with this and throw in some extra fabrics. It really adds a nice little spark to it. And she's made this for her future son-in-law's parents. Wow, what a fabulous gift. It is really pretty.
I like it.
Really, really good.
Now, Michelle used Sesame Street fabric for this one. I love it. We love Sesame Street. It was a very important part of the kids' education, and this is a very important quilt for somebody really, really special. So you made it work with the directional fabric, and it's for a children's advocacy group. Thank you very much, Michelle.
Yes. All right, now Juanita sent in this beauty, and oh, Juanita, I love that you used a stripe in your number 3 position. It adds so much personality and playfulness to the quilt.
Yeah.
And you matched your fabric perfectly. The floral in the number 1, the nice light background with that stripe going around. Wow, I couldn't have done a better job.
Now this one is by Cheryl, and it's a lovely blue fabric. It is so pretty, and so it has that soothing kind of a feel to it. And she made this pattern twice in the same fabric. She liked it so much. So she made one lap size for her grandson and then a queen size for a friend of hers. Well, it is gorgeous.
It's gorgeous, and it's like a piece of art. It is gorgeous.
And for a little extra inspiration, here are some other photos from previous challenges. We have several from our October quilt of the month, which is Garden Path. And I love seeing how different all of them are.
All of the different combinations you've come up with has just been fabulous.
It's been very inspirational for us.
Absolutely. All right, now in November, we did Gallery, and you all were so creative with your fabric selections. They all turned out so beautiful.
We are so inspired by you.
We really, really are. We appreciate that you're sending them in. And if you would like to send us a picture of your finished quilt, send them to welisten@fabriccafe.com.
And if you'd like to see more about our January quilt of the month, be sure to watch the video that pops up. Happy quilting!